So after calculating a chi-square value, we need to determine whether that chi-square value is significant or not significant. And so that's what this page in your lab manual allows us to do. So we're going to start up the top here, and the first thing we're going to do is figure out our DF, which stands for degrees of freedom. Now, the degrees of freedom equals the number of categories, and in our case, the number of categories is 2, tall and dwarf, minus 1. Now, that's pretty difficult mathematics, and I'm going to have Google help me with that. So, hey Google, what is 2 minus 1?
The answer is 1.
Oh, okay. Google says the answer is 1, so Google must be right. All right, so our degrees of freedom is, or are, 1. Okay, so next we have to turn our attentions to this table. All right, so we're going to first look at this degrees of freedom column, and I'm just going to circle the number of degrees of freedom in our chi-square test, which is 1. The next thing I'm going to do is look at these values on this row, and I'm going to see where our chi-square value of 0.17 lies. All right, so our chi-square 0.17 lies right just there, right between 0.15 and 0.46. So that's where our chi-square value sits. Now, let me orient you to this table. This line here is quite a significant, no pun, but it's quite a significant line. All chi-square values that lie to the left-hand side of that line are non-significant chi-square values. All right. All chi-square values that lie to the right-hand side of that line would be significant chi-square values. Now, our chi-square value is quite obviously in the left-hand side of the lane, so our chi-square value is not significant. All right, that tells us that the difference between our observed and our calculated expected result is not different. The difference is small enough that chance alone can account for that difference. All right, so that essentially says that we have a 3-to-1 ratio. Okay, so let's come back to this. Next, we need to find out our probability. So I'm going to look at these probability values in this line. And again, I'm going to look at this as sort of a cutoff line. So any probability on the right-hand side of that line is smaller than 0.05. And that 0.05 value is a very important probability value. Our chi-square value lies somewhere between 0.7 and 0.5, so it's very clearly much greater than 0.05. So I'm going to put in our probability value, and I'm going to say it's somewhere between 0.7 and 0.5. So our probability value is, I'm going to say it's somewhere between 0.07 to 0.5. Okay, so if our probability is greater than 0.05, which it very clearly is, we're going to, well, I'm going to cross that out because we haven't really addressed hypotheses yet, but the deviation is small enough that chance alone can account for the deviation. All right, so that's all there is to using your chi-square value on these tables to figure out whether it is non-significant or significant.